In 1995, AltaVista owned the web. By 2002, it was roadkill. Here's what the executives missed. AltaVista wasn't just big. It was the asterisk search engine. When you wanted to find something online, you didn't Google it, you went to AltaVista. The company indexed the entire web faster than anyone thought possible. They had venture capital, brand recognition, and a 7-year head start on the competition. And then they lost everything to a couple of Stanford kids with a paper and a better idea. I've seen plenty of false starts in this business, but this one's different. This is about hubris meeting incompetence. Let's start with the setup. The early web had a problem. Nobody could find anything. You had to know where things lived or you were lost. Then came search engines, crude at first, but they worked. AltaVista, launched in 1995 by Digital Equipment Corporation, changed the game overnight. Their crawler was fast. Their index was deep. Within months, they'd indexed 30 million web pages. Their competitors were indexing thousands. So what went wrong? Why did a company with every advantage in the world let a startup with zero revenue steal their crown? The first mistake was obvious in hindsight. AltaVista thought they were in the search business. They weren't. They were in the portal business, and that distinction killed them. AltaVista's executives looked at what was making money on the internet and saw portals. Yahoo was building a directory. Excite was building a destination. So AltaVista did the same. They cluttered their homepage with news, weather, stock quotes, shopping links, chat rooms. Every pixel sold to the highest bidder. What question does that raise? Meanwhile, Larry Page and Sergey Brin were solving a different problem. They weren't trying to be a portal. They weren't trying to be a destination. They just wanted to rank web pages by relevance. Their algorithm PageRank was elegant, simple. It counted links like votes, pages that more people linked to ranked higher. That's it. No flash, no news tickers, no shopping carts, just results. AltaVista's engineers knew about this paper. They read it. Some of them even thought it was interesting. But their business model didn't have room for it. Portals made money from engagement. Pure search didn't, so they ignored it. Here's where it gets dark. AltaVista had the resources to build what Google built. They had the engineers, they had the infrastructure, they had the users. What they didn't have was the willingness to cannibalize their own business model. In 1997, Google launched. It was fast, clean, and it gave you what you asked for. No noise, no distractions. Users noticed immediately. AltaVista's share of searches started to slip. But AltaVista's executives didn't panic. Why would they? They were profitable, their stock was climbing, they owned the market. I've seen this before. Confidence looks a lot like blindness when you're living it. The second mistake was structural. AltaVista was owned by Digital Equipment Corporation, a hardware company. DEC saw AltaVista as a side project, a nice publicity tool for their servers. When Compaq bought DEC in 1998, AltaVista became even more of an afterthought. Leadership kept changing. Priorities shifted. Meanwhile, Google was a startup with one mission: dominate search. They had no shareholders demanding quarterly profits, no legacy business to protect, no board of directors second-guessing the strategy. They could afford to be patient. AltaVista couldn't. What happens when a company realizes it's losing? By 2000, AltaVista was hemorrhaging market share. Google had momentum, users were switching, and AltaVista's response was to do more of what wasn't working. They launched AltaVista Discovery, a portal with shopping, auctions, and email. They bought Raging Search and other search companies, thinking scale would save them. They added more features, more clutter, more distractions. Every move pushed users away faster. It was like watching someone dig themselves deeper into a hole and wondering why they're still holding the shovel. The tragedy is that they could see what was happening. The data was right there, but the incentives were all wrong. Google, meanwhile, was raising capital and hiring the best people. They launched AdSense in 2003, a way to monetize search without destroying it. Relevant ads next to relevant results. It was genius. Users didn't mind because the ads were useful. Click-through rates were high. Advertisers paid premium prices. Google made more money with a cleaner product than AltaVista made with a cluttered mess. AltaVista tried to copy it, but they were 3 years late and 1,000 decisions behind. What does a company do when they realize they've lost? AltaVista panicked. In 2003, they were still the third largest search engine, but the trajectory was clear. They tried to reinvent themselves as a meta search engine, aggregating results from other search engines. It was an admission of defeat dressed up in business language. Users didn't care. By 2004, AltaVista's market share had collapsed to single digits. Yahoo acquired them in 2003, not because they wanted search, but because they wanted the users and the technology. It was a mercy killing. The once dominant search engine became a Yahoo property, slowly fading into irrelevance. By 2010, Yahoo shut it down completely. So here's the real story. It wasn't that AltaVista was stupid. It wasn't that Google was lucky. It was that AltaVista had too much to lose and Google had nothing to lose. AltaVista was trapped by their own success, their own business model, their own corporate structure. They optimized for the wrong thing, and by the time they realized it, the user base had already moved on. Google didn't win because they had a better algorithm, though they did. They won because they were willing to be boring. They were willing to give users exactly what they asked for and nothing more. That's not exciting. That's not a story, but it's the story that matters. The lesson here isn't about technology. It's about incentives. When your business model depends on keeping users on your site, you'll fill every inch with content. When your business model depends on getting users off your site, on answering their question in 2 seconds and sending them on their way, you'll strip everything away. AltaVista wanted to be a destination. Google wanted to be a tool. And because most people prefer tools to destinations, Google won. It's not a coincidence, it's a choice. By 2012, Google's market cap had crossed $200 billion. AltaVista was dead, not even a footnote anymore. The company that once owned the web had been completely erased. No one talks about them. No one remembers them. They're a cautionary tale if anyone remembers them at all. But here's what keeps me up at night about this case. Somewhere right now, there's a company with AltaVista's problem. They're dominant in their market. They're profitable. They have every advantage, and they're making AltaVista's mistakes. They're optimizing for the wrong metric. They're protecting a business model that's already dead. They just don't know it yet. The AltaVista story answers a simple question. How does a market leader lose everything? They lose it by confusing success with strategy. They lose it by building a moat around the wrong thing. They lose it by listening to shareholders instead of users. And they lose it slowly enough that by the time anyone notices, it's already over. Google didn't kill AltaVista. AltaVista killed itself. Google just showed up with something better and waited for the inevitable. Subscribe for more post-mortems of companies that had everything and lost it anyway. There's a new one every week.